Well, hello, everybody. I'm just going to make sure everything is running right. But today's session, I'm going to show you how to craft a compelling story for your e-learning, for your interactive story, basically. And also on top of that magic gold and over-delivering, I'm going to also share with you some practical tips and tricks on how to really feature your work, because a lot of you aren't using this strategy and you're asking me, how do I get more work like this? Let me show you, okay? Because there's some awesome tools that you're not using to actually get some serious traction on your projects, all right? So first off, before I get this party started, let's make sure that I am on and seeing you guys, because I seriously want to make sure I'm catching all the comments. All right. Hey, we've got two fabulous ladies here today, Evangelina and Di. Awesome. And let me make sure that I am also turning on this stream. Sweet. All right. Got a couple of things going over here. Excellent. All right. So if you can see me and everything's working, obviously it is, because some of you are saying hello. That's fantastic. And let me just make sure I'm getting everything going here. Yep. Here we go. All right. So one more second before everything starts loading. So let me know where you're visiting from. If you're just stopping by, I seriously am excited. Give me some highs, because I totally love that you're visiting and actually taking the time to watch this. My live is a little bit later today because we had a great project review session with my students. And so that always takes precedence, right? But I'm here to share some of the lessons with you because I think that all of you could benefit from this strategy. So let's just make sure that this is done here. And where is this? All right. So thank you so much for actually, we got, okay, sweet. All right. There we go. Okay. So if you want to say hi and say that you're visiting. Now also, as I'm running this, I can see your questions live, right? Well, there's a bit of a delay. So one of the things I want you to do is, if you have questions, post them in the chat. I will actually be able to see them and hopefully answer them in real time. But first off, let's just talk about story, right? Stories and interactive stories. And the reason we're doing this, and if you can hear that noise, that's my little canary, and she's making some picky noises. So if you hear her, that's it. It's called working from home, right? So one of the things that people always tell me, I'm like, hey, are you using storytelling in your learning, right? Because we know that storytelling is an amazing engagement hack for learning. Why? Because the reason you are here as a human is because through the generations, the people who could tell stories, understand stories, create a narrative, and all those other things, those are the people that survived, because those are people who could understand the lessons from stories. And therefore, as far as I'm concerned, if you're here, your brain has been optimized to understand story, get attuned to story, pick up stories, pay attention to stories, learn from stories. Story, right? Super awesome. But we're not using it enough. And the other thing that we're doing is we're messing it up by creating really crappy freaking stories, right? Because there is an art to this. It's not magic, but it's a process, right? So here, let me show you some of the way that I've seen people do stories. And if this is you, don't worry, I'm not judging. There's no judgment being passed here, but if you're here, you're going to get better as a result. Okay. So if you can read this the right way, do let me know. All right. So here's how the old e-learning method works. Okay. This is classic, you guys. And guess what? I'm not sharing this because I think, I'm so good. I'm sharing this because I used to do this and now I know that sucks, right? So I'm sharing it with you because I don't want you to suck. I want you to learn from my experience. So what's happening is this is how people do e-learning and classical storytelling. Okay, and let me just make sure I get it kind of in the middle. All right. So this is onboarding. Jane is new. And Jane wants to learn everything she possibly can. She's super motivated and is very curious and is keen on making all these mistakes. Now, at the end of this module, you're going to be Jane too. And now Jane knows stuff. Yay! This is a story of Jane in her life as a new person. And also, this is what we're assuming. Hey, you're new, so you should care because you're like Jane. Oh, and at the end, Jane knows stuff. Yay! This is it, right? Ooh, right? This is for some people, this is storytelling. Here's the truth. Nobody cares about Jane. I'm not Jane. And I don't show up to work just so I could learn more stuff, like for no reason, just because I'm curious. Nobody's like that. People are like, I'm slammed. I don't even know where the bathroom is. I don't care. Just get me through the quiz so I can figure out how to move on to the next day. This is not compelling in any way, right? There's no journey here. It's like, you're at the beginning of this module, you're going to learn how to XYZ. Yay, you now know how to XYZ. Whoop-de-doo. And this is what storytelling is. When people send me some of their portfolio pieces and all that stuff, they're like, yeah, I do storytelling. Here it is. And I'm like, this is not storytelling. Starting the module with, let me tell you a story, and then still continuing with this framework, that's not story. That's just lazy story. That's lazy. Here, let me show you how to do this properly, okay? And I'm not going to get into this full-on detail on storytelling, because guess what? That's why you join my cohort, and that's why you start practicing and applying this. It doesn't come out the first time, right? It's actually an iterative process. And it's kind of funny because I think some of my students are actually harder on themselves than Stephen King is on this story stuff, right? So if you're guilty of putting out some of this stuff, say #guilty, guess what? Me too. #guilty. I've done this. And you know what I also added to this process? This is the best. I had Jane's new. She gets a buddy who's really, really and Jane is a general human, right? Jane has no personality. Jane is just new, and that's supposed to be compelling. And one of the other things is that she now has a buddy, and the buddy is there to give her all the answers. And this person is always there to help them. And I've done that, like new nurse, now paired up with seasoned nurse, and new nurse has all these questions that she knows how to ask, right? It's pretty crazy. But that's the old method. Let me show you the new method, okay? So, Andrea, thank you. You're awesome. I know, right? It's kind of hard to see because there's a delay. So I'm like, am I showing this the right way? I love it. Di says guilty, but that's why I'm here. Damn right, I super love that. Okay, because nobody wakes up going, I'm an amazing instructional designer, I'm an amazing storyteller. It's not even in our really our DNA. You have to learn this, practice, hit your head against the wall about a bazillion times, and then hopefully somebody else who has figured it out is willing to share their process with you. And that's why I'm here, because I had not only projects that were successful that I then had to go back and deconstruct and say, why is this working? Why is this still working, right? But also what happened is that I had some people to give me feedback, and that's huge. It really is. So what I wanted to do is I actually talked about this motivation and situations in another video, and I know my lives go by, so you don't have to watch it. But basically what happens is you're trying to talk to, I always reinforce that you talk to people in the field, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to discover their hero's journey, basically. And when I say the hero's journey, I don't mean some sort of magic like dragon saving the princess at the end, because some of the best stories are where everyday, mundane type of people achieve something that means something to them. And that's why, when you look at the stories from even, like when you see something like Coco from Pixar, which is an amazing story, but it follows a really tight formula. One of the things you'll find there is that at the base, it's I'm going to give it away. It's a boy who wants to learn how to play guitar, and everybody is against him. And he wants to discover who he is, and at the end, he discovers who he is, maybe I'm giving it away, spoiler alert. He also, he reignites the passion for music, right, in his family, and he gets to be who he really is, which is really cool, right? Take away all the magic, all the other stuff. That's a personal journey. And that's why those stories resonate. It's not because I know how to be a little boy. I don't. It's because the journey and the struggle for getting that is what resonates with people. And that's what you're trying to create. An interactive story has nothing to do with, you trying to shove things down people's throats, get them to read more content. It actually is about awakening them to the possibility of what could be in their future as a result of taking up this journey to learn, right? That's what's huge. And one of the things that happens is if you do this right, if you do this story right, then whatever you present to people as a follow-up is going to be an amazing resource for them because they're ready for it. That's what you're doing. So I'm not saying you wrap up every single one of your learning or trainings in a story. You don't have to. When somebody is active, basically, that you've activated them, right? You woken them from the sleep of ambivalence. They're now wanting to go through your training. They're going to read the manual because they know why they're reading it. That's what the huge part is, right? So the story is split up into 3 parts, right? And I've shared this before, but I just want to get you kind of really solidified, because when you see things like, Joseph Campbell and those other things, what will happen is you will get confused or you will overcomplicate this. But really, you can set it up into 3 things, right? Act 1, 2, and 3. So these 3 acts, this is how it works. In Act 1, really what I'm doing is I'm painting a picture of this character before they have all the ahas that I want them to have. And basically, as far as I'm concerned, here, what they're doing at this unaware cold place, right, is they're representative of that person who doesn't give any care about your training, does not care in the least. They're not interested. They don't even want to go through it, right? So this is what's happening. This is where they're at. This is your target learner, in fact, a person who has no clue they even need this awesome training that you've got in the LMS. Now, so here, what I want to do is I really want to set that person up. Like, okay, yeah, they're just starting a new job, but why should I care about them? What's the big deal? Do they need this job? Why do they need it? Are they supporting somebody? Is something happen in their life that makes them credible, right? What is that? Paint this picture for me. I should be able to specifically know, like when I read about Jane, I should know things about her that are personal that make me feel like I care about her. Because if you're just giving me generic Jane because you're trying to reach too many people, what happens is you lose the audience. They don't care. They're not going to care about getting Jane over here. So you don't want to make them care, but you also want to paint that picture as to why she's struggling, why she's not here yet, right? And you want to make sure that the difference between how Jane is now versus the awesome situation Jane is in after, there's actually a difference, not just me knowing how to finish a checklist, right? So there's got to be a difference between, where you're at now and where I'm going to take you as a result of the training. I'm trying to sell you a future. I'm trying to sell you on doing this every single time. And people who tell me, oh, the learner should figure it out on their own. What are you doing? You got to sell me. I'm competing right here. I'm competing with YouTube, Facebook, Netflix, everything. Grab my attention and make it worthwhile to me to go through your e-learning, your training. What's in it for me, but really? So I paint the picture of the person now with their false beliefs, with their assumptions, with everything that's holding them back, their lack of confidence or, whatever it is, completely unaware. And then in Act 2, really, that's the journey. And the journey is sweet. It's called scenarios, right? These are all the decisions I get to make on the path to becoming awesome over here. So here, basically, when I talk to the practitioners in the field, I'm going to pull out all those juicy bits that get in people's way of success, all the mistakes they make, all the reasons they make those mistakes. Everything is right there. So the setup, the journey, which is your scenarios, and then Act 3. Act 3 is the aftermath. It's kind of like, when you watch Shrek, and not only do you see the fact that Shrek and Fiona get to be married. If you haven't seen Shrek, my God, you're missing out. So watch that. Great classic hero's journey story. But not only do they show me the wedding, they also show me the party that happens after the wedding, and I get to enjoy that. I get to bask in it. Why is this important? See, a lot of in our traditional e-learning, the only success that you get is like, yay, you're now knowledgeable. What? Who cares, right? Here, what I'm doing is I'm selling you on a journey. I'm selling you on how life could be awesome here. Is this your life? No. But you get to experience that satisfaction of success and getting here before you even really took any kind of action other than answering these questions and making a decision on behalf of my character. That's what's golden, is you get to feel that before you even get there. And therefore you want more. You're like, wait a minute, maybe that could be me. I mean, this is not me, but that could be me. I could feel that. I'm not Shrek, but I could also be a hero in my own story, right? This is not about princesses. This is not about pirates. This is not, there's no theme here. There's no, not leprechaun. No, this is just a really person struggling to do something and us wanting to help them. The more contextual this is, the better, the more powerful, the more credible. If you add pirate themes to this, you'd better be teaching pirates how to do stuff. So this is about real people making real decisions in the real world, and then having something awesome happen to them at the end as a result. And guess what? I can still embellish this and make a really big contrast between them and not have to come up with any kind of weird stories about princesses and dragons. Because real life is tragic. Real life is harsh, right? Imagine here, like this can be a purely emotional journey. Imagine here, I come home and I feel like a loser every day. And I don't know why. I'm trying my hardest at work and I keep on hitting this wall and everybody else is passing me and I feel like I'm stuck. Imagine coming here and you finish off and you're coming home and you're proud. Your wife kisses you and she says, honey, I'm so proud of you. You've made this family so proud. You can provide for us. Is that not like gripping? Do I need dragons, pirates, leprechauns? No, just that. Boom, right? Now, do you want to take that 6-step sales course? Because I showed you how Jim was able to turn his life around from this terrible mundane life to being here, providing for his family, taking his little girl to Disneyland. Right? But you won't come up with this by yourself. You can for a couple of them if you're your own subject matter expert. But imagine talking to people that this actually means something to. Epic, right? Epic. So I hope that was helpful. I hope that kind of put a perspective to it. I think that, I'm here and I can only give you bits at a time because there's a lot more to this process. But I'm trying to give you a lens and shift the way you're looking at this learning to be a little bit more emotional. Because if there is no emotion, and if you're not engaging people emotionally from the very beginning, you're really making a lot of assumptions about them being interested and knowing what the outcome is going to be like. And we're afraid to jump on and do more training. We're afraid of that journey because it makes us, you're stepping outside of your comfort zone. And that's hard. So don't leave it to chance. You can have amazing things, amazing training in your learning management system. But if nobody sees that value or they haven't emotionally connected to that journey of taking action, who cares, right? Might as well not exist because nobody's accessing it. And that's a lot of the people that I work with are like, I have all this great stuff, but people aren't invested in it emotionally. They haven't made the connection. It's because you're dumping a bunch of logic on them without first bringing them up on that journey with your interactive story. Your interactive story is supposed to move them from here, unaware and cold, to your training. It's a catalyst, right? So don't miss out on that. So the other thing, some people were asking me, because this week I'm doing some practical advice, of course. I mean, none of this stuff is from, me compiling a bunch of research and then regurgitating the research back to you so that you can, then try and apply that research, right? This isn't that kind of channel. This isn't that kind of learning that we're doing here. So if you're looking for research and theory, there's tons of other places that do that. This that I'm showing you here is things that I've used in my training, things that I've used in my actual projects. And so that's why when I walk through this is basically an extrapolation of my applied practices. Plus, what's cool now is I've gotten to apply this with other people who are learning this and learning how to do this for themselves. And I just get to refine, basically I'm testing it on you as well, refine the way I'm explaining this so that it's clear and it's the most succinct way of moving you forward. Because, there's a lot of people out there who could talk about, we could talk about the details of the hero's journey. And there's more than one. And there's lots of sites dedicated to talking about that. But one of the things you need to start doing is, if you get the framework right, you really can start applying this immediately, and iterating on it will actually create a more compelling experience right off the get-go, right? So it's better. Definitely don't put crap out there, right? But get better at actually incorporating these pieces and knowing where they fit. So somebody asked me yesterday, because was it yesterday? Yeah. Because I was talking about, getting good at your craft is a part of this. And actually getting good at your craft is also deciding that you're going to be the best. And a lot of people have a problem with this, as in saying, I'm going to be the best. And there's a reason they have a problem with it, right? They're like, well, I don't want to diminish other people. And who am I to say I'm the best at this, at interactive stories? And I dare say, Kobe Bryant, when he was saying, I'm going to be the best basketball player in the world, let's say, he wasn't saying that Michael Jordan or Shaquille O'Neal weren't going to be the best, right? He was just saying that he wanted to aspire to be the best. And when you set that intention, there's certain actions you're going to take to get you there, right? So somebody said, okay, Anna, well, what's a practical example of that? How can I get to be the best? Let's say at designing great interactions. I'm like, okay, well, here's an example. Instead of going and trying to come up with things from scratch, right? Look out into the world of elearning, and there's lots of sites out there that provide accumulate really solid experiences, interactive experiences for you. And they're actually complete experiences, not just a single interaction. And they show you those experiences, and they rate them even on which ones were the best, why were they good, what drew you, what draws people in, things like that technically. So what you can do is, instead of trying to come up with your own, I dare say, brain fart, look at what's out there that's compelling to you, that's moving you in some way, and model it. Try and build it on your own. That doesn't mean you're stealing anything. You're actually just learning. And the cool thing is that what you can do is say, hey, thanks, Rance. What you can do is say, listen, this resonated with me. There's a reason, right? I like this experience a lot. Not only try and build it, try and understand the structure, because a lot of us, when we experience these things, they seem overwhelming because we're looking at them from this high level, right? Well, try and build it, try and develop it. I don't care if you're using the same, screens and all those other things. That's fine. It's just for you. It's for you to understand. And then go back and look at the framework and the structure, right? And say, hey, can I show the same thing on the front end, but on the back end, can I make it more succinct? On the back end, can I make it more simple? And also on the back end, is there a pattern? And can I use that pattern in other contexts? That's how I got started, right? I mean, definitely there's books, definitely there's resources for you, but until you start actually applying this, until you start experimenting, until you write your first shitty first draft story, you're not going to become good at this. You actually have to start applying. So find things that resonate with you, build them on your own, craft them on your own. And instead of always thinking about where can I use this, what's the context, because a lot of people get hung up on that, right? Context. Start building. Now, if you're a builder who already has great skills in Articulate Storyline or even Captivate, because a lot of this stuff is, it's like a same software, different skin almost. But if you're good at this already and you've hit a plateau, because guess what? Nobody's teaching us script writing and storytelling in e-learning, right? It's not an instructional design staple. If this is something you want to get really good at and you want to build a piece that represents something that you believe in or more work that you want to do, I'm looking for 5 more people. April is the month we're launching the next masterclass for interactive stories. We already have an awesome community, and that's why I'm capping it, because I really want to get people to the next level, and it takes time. It takes a little bit of, support, and that's what I'm here for. So if that sounds like this is the next level you want to take yourself to, if you've already designed lots of training, lots of e-learning that's pushed you, but you're trying to break through and actually take it to the next level by incorporating stories, by incorporating scenarios, by talking to people who are in the front lines and actually extracting those stories from them, we got to talk. So I'll put a link to chat so that we can figure out if this is a good fit for you. Now, the other thing I just wanted to leave you with, and I think this people are just unusing this, just not using this the right way. You're on LinkedIn, right? If you have pieces, and I talk to a lot of people, I'm like, do you have a portfolio? And they're like, well, no, because, I don't have a website. You have a LinkedIn profile. It has a features tab now. You can put your pieces in there. You have a website. You pimp it out, really. I mean, this is where people look. People will always check you out, right? Pimp it out. You don't have to have a separate site to showcase your work, even if you're just getting started with this, right? Use it. Please do. LinkedIn just turned on a new feature, right? It's called Featured, where multimedia is actually featured beautifully in there. So go for it. I see tons of people who are like, yeah, I'm trying to do more work, more creative work. And I'm like, where's your picture? Where's your face? People connect with others who are, we're beasts, right? We got to see eyes. Put a beautiful picture up there of yourself smiling. Yes, do it. LinkedIn is a personal website for you that's already in the professional sector. Go for it, right? Leverage that. Say what you believe. Make it represent your personality, the work you want to do. Don't put anything up there. Don't leave it to chance. Put up things that you want to do more of. So don't include it as some sort of a scrapbook. Curate that. Make it beautiful. Make it say the things you want it to say. So that's one of the other practical tips today is leverage what you've already got. Put it in there. So it shows off who you really are professionally. You don't need a separate website right now. You really don't. You can send people to your LinkedIn profile, right? So hone your craft by defining pieces, by deconstructing pieces that already mean something to you. There's a reason you found them compelling. Find the frameworks underneath. If you want somebody to help you with that, I can do that. Also, leverage what you've already got. It's already sitting there. Don't take it for granted. You can tell a really great profile on LinkedIn from a poor profile on LinkedIn, right? And the other thing is, remember that you want to use, at its least, right, the 3-act structure. It's easy. And with scenarios, it's even easier. You don't have to do all the middle stuff. So I hope you found this useful. If you did, share. Also, leave me a note. Also, I hope we talk very soon, because if this is something you're really serious about and you want to take to the next level, the time is now. The time is now, because when everything settles in, the cream's going to rise to the top and the demand is going to be there. So if it's not there already, so go for it. This is your time. Invest in yourself, invest in your skills. Even if you're just taking part in this to find out the next level tips, go for it. Keep on learning. This is your time. Invest in you. All right. So I hope you have a fabulous rest of the day. Thank you so much for being here. And for some of you, I'll be talking to you very, very soon. All right. Take care, friends. Bye.